This year marks 10 years of Tab camping for me. And on this week's episode of Tab Talk, I'm going to share 10 years worth of tips. Stay tuned. Moving into the prototype this summer gave me a real different perspective on camping. Now, if you've ever changed from one camper or another, you may have had a similar experience. All the things you have dialed in, you have to retool and reconfigure for your new camper. Even though it's temporary, the prototype has given me a similar opportunity to take note of all those little things that elevate the camping experience for me. Plus, I've seen a lot of questions that new owners have as they get their 360 and are enthusiastic about it. So I'm happy to share the little things that help me dial in my camping experience. Let's jump right in. The first tip involves using the day-night settings on your Alda for heat and hot water. A lot of people don't even know you can do that. And it's different on the different models, but as long as you have an Alda with a digital display panel, you can set a day or night setting. What that means is you can have different daytime temperatures and hot water settings than you do nighttime. And I'm not going to show you each of the different ways to do that because it does vary depending on your control panel, but either your Alda manual or nuCamp videos, or I've seen Princess Craft with some great videos, all show you how to do that. I like to set mine so that 30 minutes before I wake up, the camper starts to warm up because I keep it nice and cold overnight. I sometimes keep my Alda set at 58 or 60 overnight, so it's nice and cool. That way I don't get too hot when I sleep. Rocky generates a lot of heat when he cuddles up next to me, so I like to keep the Alda lower. But during the day when I'm working, I want some warmth, so I will set it to heat up about 30 minutes before I'm awake. And while we're talking about the Alda, let's go to tip number 2. And that is you can actually set your Alda display to be dark. If you have a digital panel, you may not want the whole panel lit up during the night. So I set mine to go dark at night. The next tip applies to anybody with a wet bath. And that is when I'm done taking a shower, I use microfiber towels to dry all the walls. And I get it nice and dry. I have a small little microfiber towel, hang it on a hook, and it's dry before I need it again. And then to clean around the toilet and the floor, I use paper towels. And I love being able to go into the bathroom and have it being dry after I've used the wet bath. The next tip applies to pet owners. Keep a microfiber towel hanging on the door. That way, if it's wet or muddy or snowy, you can wipe your dog off before you have them go inside. And while we're talking about microfiber towels, let's talk about your bath towels. I've tried all the quick dry towels that are out there. Not all of them, but a lot of different ones, and nothing works like a microfiber towel. I find the soft ones work better than the waffle ones for me because they feel just better on my skin when I'm drying, a little more like a nice terry feel. But a microfiber towel will help you dry your body off quicker. The towel itself will dry quicker, which of course will resist mold and mildew. And I do like the Sea to Summit towels, their camping brand towel. I think I got mine on Amazon. You can get them at REI. I know another person who said she got hers at TJ Maxx, I think, or Home Goods, one of those discount stores. They work great. They come in a little storage container, and I probably will be getting more this year. The next is a little storage hack when it comes to your food. If you buy food that comes in cardboard packaging that is sort of extra, like a cereal box, pull the bag out, use the bag, put it in a Ziploc if you need to, but get rid of the cardboard. It takes up less space, especially in your fridge. Speaking of storage hacks, if you followed me at all, you probably know one of my favorite storage hacks is packing cubes. And don't get the cheap ones. They'll rip. You'll regret it. Get the good ones. My current favorite are the Peak Design packing cubes. Not only do packing cubes compress your clothing and take up less space, but they help keep you organized within your cupboards and drawers. If you know what's in a packing cube, it makes it easy to get what you need. And if you have to go somewhere overnight and get out of your camper, maybe you're getting repairs done at the service center or you're staying at somebody's house, it makes it really easy to get what you need, put it into a duffel, and head inside. The next tip came to life for me, again, very recently. It's November, shoulder season. You typically don't have bugs. Well, guess what? I had bugs after my last live stream. They were everywhere. Here's what I did. I turned the Max Air fan, works with a Fantastic fan as well, on high speed, on exhaust, and it sucks those little bugs right up to the screen. For those harder to get bugs, maybe the bigger ones, I like to use a hand vac to suck them up when I'm done. To minimize bugs getting in the first place, one of the things I like to do is if the windows are open and the screens are down, the lights are off, especially if I'm going in and out of the camper and opening the door. Keeping the lights off inside is the best thing you can do to keep bugs out of the camper. Now, if it's hot weather, and I mean, these screens are pretty impressive, but sometimes bugs can still get in, or maybe I don't have them closed quite tight enough, or the screen door I thought was closed all the way wasn't, and bugs get in. But if you can keep the lights off, you're going to do yourself a big favor in terms of keeping bugs out of the camper. While we're talking about the fan, it took me a little time to figure out the right time and the way to use the fan. Typically, when I arrive at a campsite, if it's hot, I'm going to start, before I even get the air conditioning cranked up, by exhausting the hot air. I'll open the windows and turn the fan on exhaust. The same if the outside temperature is hotter than the inside temperature, and I want to keep it that way, I will exhaust it because you're getting rid of the hot air. If it's cooler outside than it is inside, I will use the air in function. And I run the fan all year. Even when I've got the Aldi going, I'll often have the fan on the low speed with the window in a vent position. It really helps reduce condensation. And I like the air movement, the fresh air feel. It's not necessarily cold, but it makes a huge difference. If you have a Max Air fan, a 10-speed Max Air fan, you can actually run it like a ceiling fan at home with the fan closed, so it's just circulating the air. Speaking of keeping temperatures cool, one thing I like to do on a hot day, summer day, any day that's going to get warm, I keep the shades on the side of the camper that the sun is hitting closed, and that's an extra layer of insulation to help keep your camper cooler. If you're going to be traveling and need maybe multi-season clothing, you're going to start out somewhere hot and go somewhere cold, or the temperature could change while you're on the road. One thing that helps me keep the tab organized and keep my sanity is to put the season clothing that I'm not using in a duffel bag. And in my 320, I used to put it in the far back, that hard to reach area behind the seat. In the 360, I've actually been keeping it in the Jeep or sometimes behind the dinette seat. Here's a trick that I learned not soon enough, and that is as soon as you're done eating, wipe your dishes off with a paper towel. It's so much easier to wash. You use less water when you're washing the dishes. You don't have to worry about scraping the plates, and it just makes life a lot easier. In general, paper towels are your friend when you're camping. When it comes to the microwave, a lot of people pull the plate out of the microwave when they're traveling. I found a soft-sided bread basket that fits that space and holds my bread is a great way to not only store the bread and keep it fresh, but also keep that plate still in the microwave while I'm traveling. I've always traveled like that, and I've gone thousands of miles without an issue. The last tip I have is about priming the pump, and that comes in handy when you filled the freshwater tank and are first starting to use the pump at the campsite, or maybe you're trying to siphon water from a water jug and you've got the Nautilus system, or even winterizing. The pump needs to be pressurized in order to be able to pull. So the easiest way to pressurize a pump that I found is to open the kitchen faucet and then go into the bathroom and hold the water fill button down on the cassette, or hold the lever down if you've got a non-cassette toilet on the toilet so that water's coming into the toilet at the same time. As soon as that sputtering is done and you've got a steady stream, you can close it up and stop pumping water. So those are the things that came to mind. I jotted down as I was getting used to the 360. What are some of the things that you would pass along to people that have helped you really dial in your camping experience? Let me know in the comments so that others can benefit from those too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.